Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers, connecting with makers from all around the world. Here's your hosts, Jamie Page, Chris Cute, and now, Richard Morley.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, wherever you're listening. Join me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
How you doing?
Better than I was right at the start of the show. And also, talking of better than I was earlier, it's Jamie Page.
How you doing?
I'm slightly better now, but yeah, I'm completely thrown. We're going to jiggle the order around anyway. But Chris, I was going to go with what's everyone up to, but have we got a question or what's going on?
We do have a question, but before we get to that question, I just want to point out that Mr. Page is in, I believe, is it Dale Kirkwood's studio?
No, it's actually a green screen.
Okay.
That's kind of weird because I can't see any green in there. There's some blue, there's some red. I think they're boxes. Yeah. There's like a yellow triangle behind. I can't see any green.
I just wanted to point out that Jamie wasn't sitting in his bed.
I can show you some green, Richard. Look, it's one of them record power scrap flames. Look.
Touche.
So Jamie is not in his normal setting, is all I meant to say, and that shop is extremely well organized, and so
it's very clean as well. I must admit, it's embossed there as well. Look.
And for both of those reasons, I hate him. But
it's a nice looking workshop, but I do have one complaint.
What's that?
For the purposes of this podcast, it is far too well lit. It needs to be much more dimly lit.
Yeah. But for the people that are listening on SoundCloud and stuff, they don't really care. But just understand, if you haven't made the live show, then what you're looking at would be much nicer than what we normally get. I do have a question.
Not hard, really.
I do have a question though, and seriously, gentlemen, put your hand over your heart, because the first question is not from Andy Pugh. And I'm sorry, I had to burp. I had to burp because that honestly just physically upset me.
I think you might have physically upset some of our listeners potentially there. We apologize for.
Deal with it. I don't care. Get over it. Our first question comes from Dale Kirkwood.
Who?
Yeah, right. The question is, but it does refer to the Mr. Q with Pew. At what point does the number of questions asked by Andy Pugh reach critical mass? And he either A, implodes, giving rise to a knowledge singularly, or B, he organizes a Christmas special with you guys in the form of a quiz show with him as the quiz master. So, I mean, it's kind of a superficial question, but you know what, Dale, God bless you for even asking that, because
that's a great idea. That's an awesome idea.
I think that's a great idea. We should have Andy on and do a quiz show for Christmas, just because Dale suggested it. And as far as when does it reach critical mass, I don't know, but obviously it hasn't yet.
I genuinely think that's a great idea, though. We could literally do it like a session of QI, because Andy's pretty intelligent. He could ask the questions. We're all a bunch of idiots. That's going to be a comedy gold, isn't it? What do you reckon, Andy?
Well, let's not give Andy too much credit. I mean, let's just say he's smarter than we are. And move on from. I mean, I don't want to raise expectations too high, but
I think our listeners probably have pretty low expectations, particularly those that come back week on week. To be fair, Chris, I think we're probably safe on that one.
Yeah.
You know what? Good point. You're right. It wouldn't be a problem. Anyway, gentlemen, and thank you, Dale, for the question. Trust me, that was appreciated. It was a great idea. And I don't know if Andy's up for it, but hey, we'll give it a go if you think it's fun.
Did any of you happen to notice Dale come in and adjust the lighting as well?
Oh, did he really? Did he really?
He literally did like the cartoon tiptoe sneaking, like
Yeah.
bowing, quiet, without the noise.
We're hunting rabbits. I'm sure the people in the cars on the way to work will appreciate knowing that this is a much better lit podcast than what it once was. I mean, come on, for crying out loud, gentlemen. This was probably the start of the conversation that we had a week ago about what we were going to talk about this week, and it has to do a lot to do with what time of year this is. It's obviously approaching holidays. For us in America, Thanksgiving is next week. That's a big family holiday. I don't know. I mean, you guys in England aren't thankful for anything, so I don't expect you to relate. But it's a big holiday for us. And following that, obviously, is Black Friday. Then the whole Christmas spiel gets into gear, and then we find ourselves for some reason incredibly busy in our own workshops at the behest of someone else. So my question, and the question that we talked about like a week ago, was, what are you doing? I mean, Richard, I know that you are doing some things that you're not normally known for, but I know you have talent in doing. It's just that people don't know that you do them. Well, I mean, Richard, trust me, I'm gifting you the word talent. But I just want you to
bring it. Yeah,
I just want
keep
you to know, I'm trying to be friendly. What have you been doing?
I mean, honestly, I haven't put any videos out on my channel since August. So that's a long time, even for me.
In disguise.
It kind of is a blessing in disguise. Excuse me. Cheers, Jamie. But I mean, we all do things in the background. Sometimes you just like, I think you said a few episodes ago now, Chris, sometimes you don't want to turn the camera on. You just want to get on and do stuff and kind of play.
At a certain point, you just decide let's just get it done.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I've wanted to do. Unfortunately, I've actually had loads of client jobs to be getting on with, so I haven't actually had a huge chance to play. Lots of little bitty things really that I've been working on with some. I don't know if anyone out there that listens that kind of is in the trade. I noticed that things go in little fads. Like all of a sudden, everyone will want doors put in, and then all of a sudden, someone will want something refinished, and then all of a sudden, someone will want a fence putting up or a wardrobe fit. Or just like that's what happens. Maybe it's just me. So I've had a lot of those jobs to be getting on with, and they just go back to back to back. So I haven't had a huge amount of time to play until Friday, just gone 2-3 days ago from now. And it was early in the morning. I was literally just like, oh, you know what? I've been doing all week. I've been doing this. And even when I was away, I got back jet lagged and went straight into work Monday morning, absolutely exhausted. I ended up having a day off because I couldn't function. And I had this Friday where I didn't have anything booked in or planned. And it got to about 11:30, just before lunch. I'm thinking, I haven't actually done anything today. I've just been really lazy. I'm a bit hungry. So I had a spot of lunch. Welcome to Hourly Munchies with Rick. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to make a router. Just went in my head. Because I know my shout out a few weeks ago was Young G, that makes all his hand planes. Absolutely love his channel. It's therapeutic to watch, and he makes loads of really nice hand planes. And I just thought, I'm going to make a router. So I took a bit of rusty old, not angle iron, like T-shaped angle, like a T.
Right.
About, what is it? Maybe a little under 1/4 inch thick. So it's quite hefty steel, rusty as you like. A hacksaw, a few hand files, and I made a little. If anyone's, I'll hold it up so people watching live can see. It's not finished by any means. It's got a little bit of work to do, but there's the base. You can kind of see how rusty
So you actually, well, no, let's be clear. You actually made a router base. You didn't actually build a router with a motor and an on.
No, like a router plane.
Okay, you gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
You know, okay, yeah, but it sounds so much cooler when you say you made.
Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah. Let's be honest. I mean,
So,
Yeah,
does that mean I've got to make a coping saw now?
yes, definitely. Jamie. But if anyone's listening and can't see, have a look for the little. I think it's Veritas that makes a little mini plane. I know Stanley used to make a little tiny mini plane.
They do, and they still do. By the way,
yeah, probably do. Probably to the same. In fact, Veritas probably use the same
design. Yeah,
design.
They just do it better. That's all.
Wow, you know.
No, they do.
Let's
no,
not go down that road.
No, they do. And it's is it worth the money and all that kind of fun stuff we could talk about? But yes, they do.
A little confession: my cat's mum and dad bought me a Veritas router plane cutter for the little mini Veritas that goes in this. So it's basically the cutter's the good bit, isn't it? So this probably will be,
Oh yeah,
hopefully.
I mean,
I'd like to think I'm gonna do it working, and I started videoing it as well. That was the other thing. I actually put the video camera going. I set it all up, and yeah, I didn't video it. I just set it all up, and I think I took about 2 minutes of footage of me with a hacksaw. I was messing around with the camera. I'm like, do you know what?
I can't be bothered.
Not happening. So, if you have a look on my Instagram at some point in the future, there'll probably be pictures up of it. But it's coming along. Do you know what? I'm really pleased. I haven't done any hand filing for donkey's years, and it happened a lot quicker than I thought it would. So
and you're obviously happy with yourself for doing it.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Well, no, and I'm not. That's
doing it. That's the happy thing for actually because I went on and did it. Because
I'm not trying to be a jerk to you. I'm just saying it made you feel well. Okay, maybe I am being a little bit of a jerk to you, but no. I mean, I'm just saying it made you happy, so that's all that matters. Yeah. Good enough, Jamie. My friend, have some pretty exciting things that are actually going to be coming up soon. Soon as in like tomorrow morning when you get on a plane with your better half and fly to Dallas Fort Worth in the United States. I mean, what's going on with that?
Yeah, so
finally got rid of him.
Yeah, this year I will funnily enough be celebrating Thanksgiving, which kind of sounds weird if you ask me. But
well, it's not 4th of July. You can't call us traitors. I mean,
yeah. I think they want to actually film a skit for July for when it comes up, like me holding a sparkler with an unhappy face. Like, so like with a massive Uncle Sam, like I don't know, like massive tall hat or something.
You're going to have like the massive tall hat, right?
Yeah, like Abraham Lincoln sort of hat with the stars and stripes all over it.
Well, I hate to get technical, but honestly, Thanksgiving happened well before we got divorced. Okay, I'm just.
We were still very much in love back then.
Divorce? I thought it was still a trial separation. I thought this was all going to get worked out, and it would all be what?
That figures, Richard. I understand why you would think that. The problem is that is incredibly ignorant. But anyway, Jamie, so that's cool. But I mean, who you going? You're going there, and
I'm going there with my better half. I'm basically going to be traveling around with the Jacobsons in their mobile shop. Exactly. So we're going to be when we first get there. We're going to be meeting up with Bobby and Nicole Duke, having some dinner.
Oh, that's awesome. Where does Bobby live? I mean, I don't want to know exactly, but I mean, in that area?
Bobby lives in Texas, in Fort Worth.
Okay.
It's a little bit out of our way to take the trailer down to his house. So Bobby's going to come and meet us somewhere.
So you're doing a halfway thing? Okay.
Yeah, kind of. And then we're going to stay somewhere overnight. And then early in the morning, we're going to take a drive to Jake Thompson's house and stay with Jake for a few days. And we're going to be having Thanksgiving with Jake and his family, which I'm really looking forward to.
That's awesome.
And then after that, we're going to be taking a trip to Oregon. I'm not sure of the route exactly that we're going to be taking because weather constraints and all that sort of stuff. The snow's been a bit of a pain. But no, that's not a problem to me. I'm not there for the weather. I'm there for the people. So,
all right. Well, just because I'm inquisitive, where does Jake live in Texas?
Jake lives in Amarillo, Texas.
Oh my God!
So
Jake,
that's about 6 hours, 5 hours, I think, from Dallas.
If you're listening, my friend, I love you. I mean, I honestly do love Jake Thompson. He's a great individual. He just happens to live in the second largest armpit of America. Because I've been to Amarillo, Texas. And Jamie, I don't mind telling you, when you drive from Amarillo to Oregon, you are going to be, and next week, or the week after, because I don't actually think we're going to be doing the show next week, but the week after, you tell me, please, if you were not happy to see you are leaving Texas the sign. I mean, because I'm telling you, that is one hell of a drive. And
I was going to say a tree.
Oh, it's the whole and I'm sorry, I have a very disgruntled feeling about Texas because I've driven through Texas twice in my life, and I went tip to tip through Texas, and the entire drive is nothing but road, desert, and cactus that does this or this, like every quarter mile. Each tree is different, but that's all you see, and you see it for a freaking day and a half. I mean, that is not a short vehicle drive. My friend, I mean, I love you for going. I love you for the people that you're seeing, but oh, dear Lord, I would not do that. I would take a plane. Get me there. Now.
I'm taking a plane to get me there.
Can you do me a favor, Jamie, while you're in Amarillo?
Yeah.
Can you get like a little bit of video footage of you with the Amarillo sign in the background and you doing the whole Peter Kay walk down the road?
Peter Kay, this is the way to Amarillo.
You've got to do that.
Actually, I would be more inclined to appreciate if you stood up by that sign and just took a picture of your armpit with that sign behind you. But anyway, and I don't. There are people from Texas that are going to hate me for saying that, but I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. It doesn't mean it's true. It's just my opinion. Anyway,
because obviously everyone knows the well-known, well-renowned international best-selling hit, "Show Me the Way to Connecticut."
Well, that sure as hell doesn't say "Show me the way to Amarillo" either. I mean, well, yeah. Well, I already have disparaged my own state enough. I mean, it's a thoroughfare. It's a thoroughfare for people going to a better place, as where I live. But anyway, that's awesome. How long are you going to be in the States, Jamie?
I'm going to be there for 2 weeks in total. Eventually, I'm not going to say the final stop, but obviously we're going to end up going to stand at Carl and Robin's house, which is in Oregon.
Right.
So it's right over the other end on the west side. And then we'll be flying home from Seattle. So
that's going to be a flight. Seattle, and are you flying into Heathrow?
Yes.
So how long's that taking then? If you're going from, because that's West Coast.
It's really weird because the flight home it takes less time to get home than it does to get there.
No, because you got the winds behind you, but it's still going to be like an 11-hour flight, isn't it?
I think it's 9 hours or 9.5 hours on the way back, and it's 10.5 hours there.
All right, buy some peanuts for the ride home because you could. Wow.
Yeah.
You could probably watch. Let me see. Average movie. You could probably watch close to 12 movies.
I probably sleep a lot as well.
Well, yeah, but I hope the plane that you fly has a nice selection of entertainment because otherwise that would be really boring.
Who are you flying with, Jamie?
So it's British Airways hosted by American Airlines.
But the key underlining point there is British Airways.
Yeah, but I mean, whose cab are you taking?
I think it's American Airlines.
Oh, vey.
Yeah.
I've
heard this.
But no, to be fair, and you know,
as long as it gets me there, as long as the plane don't end up in the sea, I'm happy.
Okay, that's your expectation. Then you'll have a great flight.
Yeah, no, because like when we were over there the few weeks ago, we went via American Airlines, and they weren't that bad. The flight attendants they were nice. You know, the plane was all right. It was fairly clean and fairly new as well. it was only on the way back, and that was one of the internal flights. No, was it? No, it wasn't. It was the last hop because we did 2 hops. But they didn't tell us that the plane was delayed. They just said there was a problem, but they didn't know how long it was going to be, and that we were going to miss our in-flight food. So they brought out like a trolley and a table and set it up at it was like a school picnic, like box of crisps, box of apples. It was like blackmail food. We don't know what's going on, but we'll just give you some food, and hopefully that will make sure you don't moan at us too much.
Blackmail food. That's funny.
So.
Well done, Richard.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I haven't been up to much, but I mean, upcoming for me, I've got a trip to Florida I have to make, and I'll be flying out on Tuesday. But let's get into what we want to talk about today, and we can start it by answering. Yes, Mr. Andy Pugh had a question for us today. He saw what we described this show was going to be about, and so he had a question about it. And so I'll let you guys answer it, and then I'll get into my spiel, and then we can move on. Andy's question is, how important, and I don't know how you should take this, but it's a question that he's going to ask. How important is the maker community to you? And I don't want you to get in depth, because we will all have a chance to express those feelings. And for those people that are actually with us today live, think about that, because there's stories that each one of us could tell, and I would hope that you would chime in and give us your impressions on that as well, because we would like to share what you have to say with others instead of just us three talking about it. So the question, once again, from Andy is, how important is the maker community to you? And then if you want to briefly answer that, and then I will get into a beginning of the topic, and then we can move on from there. So Richard, Jamie, whoever feels inspired enough to answer that, go right ahead.
Let me just, I want to, before I get into it, because I don't want to go too far one way or the other. How do you mean by don't go into depth?
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, it should be fairly easy to say it means a lot because I really enjoy people, or, it doesn't mean that much, but I appreciate it being, I mean, it doesn't really have to be, a life story is what I'm saying to answer that question. We can get into the life story to finish out today, but I mean, it doesn't have to happen at the beginning unless you want it to. Then, I'm not going to tell you what to do or not do. I mean,
I was just kind of looking for a bit of clarity there, because literally I think you just stole my thunder, because I was going to go, kind of, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, then whatever you want to, I mean, Rick or Jamie, I mean, the question is, what does the maker community mean to you? I mean,
it's everything, to be honest with you. There's nothing quite like sending out a joke to a load of members in the community and having a laugh and a joke with people, and then getting the exact same response back. Every single day you wake up from a certain few number of members of the community, and in the instant you see a message from these certain members, whoever they may be, automatically you get a smile on your face, and it could be just a random joke. It could be a request to do something. It could be a question about a project just for your input. For argument's sake, it could be a turning question, a scroll saw question in my case. Any sort of inspiration. It's when Bigfoot Woodcrafts said it perfectly. Like, the maker community definitely gives a sense of belonging. It's a bit the sense of being able to go out there and be able to inspire people, like Susie Dragentails, for example. Inspire the next generation of upcoming people. Making sure that the craft of woodcraft or arts and crafts doesn't die.
Yeah,
just keeping keeping this alive. That's what this means to me.
Rich?
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of like a deep or an easy or a difficult or a weird kind of. I mean, where do you take that question? And I'm not trying to drag out the answer. I'm literally trying to quantify it, because what bit of it? Who? From what perspective?
From a general perspective, just sit back look at it as a round ball and look at it and go, what does that ball mean to me? I mean, does it mean anything to you, or is it just something that you appreciate but you don't feel makes an impact? I mean,
not from the perspective of somebody who effectively runs a business around that community, like from my YouTube channel. So from that point, they're my subscribers. They mean the world to me. They put food on my table, blah, blah, blah. That's a fairly obvious one. But remove that aspect completely and go with like the vast majority of people who are consumers effectively. They don't necessarily make videos of what they do. They just make things and watch videos. And I know there's loads more people that just watch videos and make stuff than make videos. It's learning. It's belonging. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's a clique, but it's a mindset. And I've always believed that making stuff, what you make and what you use to make stuff is irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether you like making clothing and sewing, whether you like knitting and crocheting, or whether you make model aeroplanes, or whether you make metal hot and hit it, or whether you make big bits of wood into small bits of wood that are a different shape and glue together. It's completely irrelevant, because people who, to me, genuinely understand that it's the mentality. It's like, I understand what you got out of making that thing. And for me, knitting a scarf has no interest at all. I have no interest in knitting a scarf or learning how to knit a scarf. But
you have appreciation.
But not only that, yes, obviously, but not only that, I would sit and talk to somebody with 100% focus and interest, finding out about what they. Sorry, Jamie.
You can tell Dale's talking to his workshop right now.
The lights are just gradually dropping. Jamie.
Turn the lights back on, for crying out loud.
A torch, isn't it? I'll talk to somebody about what they're making and what interests them about making all day long. And that's the thing that you don't understand. I think if you don't get it,
if you're not right.
Because you get the comments like, why did you spend 3 hours making that thing when you could have gone down the shop and bought something for £1? I don't understand it. That to me says you're more about the finished thing. Yeah, I could go and buy a table from IKEA, and but that's to me. Does that answer the question? I don't even know if it does.
No, it does. It does. And I will chime in only, and I will fully recognize and tell people that because I knew that this was the question we're going to have to answer, and Jamie and Richard are much more adept at talking off the top of their heads than I am. I actually had to write down what I wanted to say, and this may take some while, but I hope what I have to say will have some significance. And forgive me if this happens to become more melodramatic than it should be, because I just want to recognize that fact, and you'll have to forgive me because I'm a lot more emotional today than I usually would be, and we can talk about why that is later, but that happens to be the case. So, but I want to tell you a story, and I had to write down this story so I could tell it correctly. And if you're willing to give me like a minute and a half, I want to relay this, because I think it speaks to the heart of this community. I really do.
Before you start, Chris, I don't want to throw you too much.
No, that's fine.
But when you said you had to write it down to get to the heart of this story, do you mean like you did when you were telling everyone what happened?
No, I wanted to think about it and make sure I relate it the way I wanted to relate it, and not rely on my old decrepit memory with beer half in me in order to do so. I mean, I wanted to do it correctly. So thank you, Richard, for pointing out my faults. I appreciate it.
I need to.
And just so, in case anybody's wondering, I do hate Richard Morley. He's an asshole.
We
anyway.
have this understanding. It's out in the open. We move past it. It's great.
but I love him at the same time. It's you know, it's just one of those things. Anyway, my story is it's not all that unique to anybody else. I mean, but I think it gets to the heart of this topic. Let me tell you this. There was this guy who got on Facebook and joined one of, you know, our many groups that are out there, and this gentleman was happy to see that such a thing even existed. Then one day he saw somebody in the community was robbed, and most of his shop was stolen and gone in an instant. This guy didn't know the victim of this crime. He'd never even met the guy, but he could imagine what a blow that would have been to one of us. So this guy gathered up every extra tool he had, got the gentleman's address from one of his friends, and he shipped that package, which was rather large, to this guy, hoping that it would at least help. And you know, it's just one of the things that we do. You know, it's like, I know it's not going to answer the problem this guy's thinking, but I hope it puts a smile on his face because he knows somebody cares. Now, this guy who shipped the package hadn't even put out a single YouTube video, but was immediately embraced by this community. Not because of any generosity or any work that he had done, not because he was anywhere near popular. Nobody knew who this guy was, but simply because people in this community recognized that this gentleman shared similar interests and showed a bit of love to one of its members. Now, to understand how important that was to this guy who shipped that package, you'd have to know that this guy had recently moved into a new area and had zero friends in that area. And becoming part of something, which is a new community, was really important to him. I mean, you've just made someone really happy. It's one of those moments where you just go, I've just made somebody extremely happy. It didn't cost me anything to do anything, but I know I have. So come to find out, that package sent, while appreciated, wasn't the reason for what would become a very long friendship. It was because the two gentlemen mentioned, the gentleman who received the package and the gentleman who gave that man his address, they realized that he was a kindred spirit. And they didn't know this gentleman from a freaking tree stump. They didn't care whether what his color of skin was, what religion, or even where he came from was. That guy was embraced by not only them, but an entire community. Now imagine for a moment how much that meant to that guy. It shouldn't be hard to do, considering that we all probably have a very similar story to that. When people ask, and trust me, they do, what's so special about this community? That's the story I tell because it matters. Why? Because that guy who shipped the package was me.
You always do things like that, Chris. You're that sort of nice person. Yeah. I hate it when situations get into this kind of like knife edge emotional time because I don't cope with it. But you are, sir, that kind of guy. You're the first person to jump in. Oh, yeah, I can send you that. That's what you did with those pen blanks for Maker Quilt.
You know, that's the thing that was crossing my mind. Exactly.
A whole box of them. Like we had so many, I didn't know what to do with them.
The headphones for the podcast. Another prime example. The shirts the year before.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't want to get overly melodramatic because it really shouldn't be. But it doesn't matter in this community who you are, what race you are, what religion you are, what country you come from. Because let's be honest, guys, we've talked to people from Canada to Australia to New Zealand, through Europe and back. In fact, that is why we did this podcast and we named it Makers International, because there is very little care about who you are. It's a brotherhood and it's a sisterhood, because we don't care who or what you are outside of this community. We only care that we all get along. And you know what? We do, with very, very little friction in between. And you've got to know that how rare that is. Not only how rare it would have been in years gone by, but how rare it is even today for people to be able to get together and not care about those kind of things, but get together and embrace each other simply because we care, we love, we like, we are interested. I mean, I always why I brought that up today, and why I wanted to make this the subject of the podcast today, is because sometimes I think that gets ignored. And I think that it's not a bad thing to remind people how great of a community this is and how important it can be moving forward. And I don't want to spend a lot of time talking. I want to give you guys some time. I don't want to give the people that are watching some time, but I'm telling you, it is that important. And I can testify to that because it meant the world to me.
And there's been cases of that over the years. I think in the last maybe 2 or 3 years, the number of instances that I've been privy to, I don't mean that privy to as in like they're all secret and the rest of it, but I've heard about through posts on Instagram or third-party conversations with members of the community and groups and various platforms and all the rest of it. But I think in the last few years, there's been more and more of them in varying degrees. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, I don't know if you remember, probably about 8 years ago now, maybe not quite as many, certainly 6 or 7 years ago, when Lainey Shaughnessy clubbed together with a whole load of people and got Steve Ramsey at the new table.
I do remember. And I do remember.
That, to my knowledge, was the first instance of something like that happening. And that was a way that Lainey took of basically giving back and helping Steve for what he'd been doing at the time, because he was one of the first few YouTube woodworkers. But then, and that was quite a big deal. That's getting people together. Obviously, there was the things over the last couple of years, but little things. I don't know if anyone knows from Maker Central last year, Andy Heal from AH Bespoke. We had him on as a guest 1 week.
I probably ignored him.
You ignore everyone.
Is that in the chat?
Sorry, Andy.
Come on. Andy had a whole load of tools. Now, I've sort of joked about this with Andy face to face, and hopefully he won't get offended with me saying this, but Andy, to a lot of people, he doesn't look, and this is wrong, this is stereotyping and all the rest of it. Andy does not look like he, commutes to a bank in the city every morning. Yeah. And to some people, that can be a bit of a distancing agent because of his appearance. But he's one of the nicest. When you meet Andy and talk to him and chat with him and actually get to know him, he's one of the nicest people on this earth. He genuinely is a really nice guy. And he took all the way to Maker Central a box of tools. There were rulers in there, squares, saws, hand planes, like a big heavy box. This box must have been 2 foot by 18 inches by 18 inches deep, and he was lugging it around, bless him. It weighed a couple of hundred weight of steel, and he just left it down by our Make with Makers thing with a little sign on it, free to a good home. And there were people just rummaging through that going, oh, how much are these? It's like, no, Andy's giving them away. He's got excess of them. He's just giving them to people. All we ask is you'll use it and you haven't got one. Simple as that. Loads of people do that. Jamie, you gave me a scroll saw. I mean, that probably had a tear. No, it was 1.5, one and some scrap metal. But you know, loads of people do it.
Actually, I gave one to Kat, and you had the broken one.
They do, you know, but I don't want the gentleman who recognized me even before I had done anything to be recognized for, because the package that I sent was to Matt Brander, because his shop was, and this happened. I mean, seriously, I don't know if you remember. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. This happened when I first started noticing the community, and I sent it to Matt Brander, but I didn't. I had to get his address from his friend because I didn't want him to know I was sending it to him. So I found out that one of his best friends was Jason McGinn. And I messaged Jason, asked for Matt's address. He gave me that address. And to this day, Matt, Jason, and I get together at least once a week. I mean, just to shoot the, proverbial, shite. But I mean, it's like there are friendships that this community grows. And Jamie, Richard, you and I have kind of grown that kind of friendship as well. I mean, I would be happy to tell you, anything, off camera. But this is just something that is, these guys were doing at the time. And Jamie, you'll remember because you were, conveniently never invited to be one of these spotlights on that show until the last one.
They had to fight for it.
Yeah, and Jamie had to do his fighting.
If you have to ask Jamie, it's not really the same, is it?
But at the time, they were doing a very popular show called the Maritime Woodworkers.
Maritime Makers.
Yeah, Maritime Makers, whatever it was. And then as soon as I did that and Jason and Matt and I started talking, they automatically said, well, why don't you come on with us? And I was like, guys, I don't have anything to talk about. I don't even have a video to refer to yet. Give me a month and I'll have a couple of videos, and I'll have a reason to be on and talk with you. But they didn't care that I didn't have a video. They didn't care. They wanted me on to talk to me because they knew I had similar interests, and it would benefit what they were trying to grow, which was the community. And I think that it would behoove me to recognize the efforts they made to bring me into this community, because they did a great job.
Yeah. And I think one thing that people forget is, or if they haven't forgotten, or they might not realize, is that the group has got so many little tiny subgroups within it.
Sure.
So, I mean, we see week on week familiar names and familiar faces in the live chat, and I'll take this opportunity because I generally do like a quick shout out, and I'll pick some out. There's people like David Woodbarber, Andy Pugh, that everyone now knows Andy because he's our Grand Inquisitor, Jim Dockrell, Chris, and I think it's Emma and Susie from the family Dragon Tail Wood Turnings.
Right.
Rich, the Beard 16. There's loads of regular people, and that kind of makes me feel that there's this little core of people that kind of, for some bizarre reason, enjoy listening to us jabber on about pretty much nothing.
You know what? I will. Let me interrupt you real quick, because I don't think all these wonderful people show up because they love Jamie, love me, or love you. They show up because this is a community experience. It gives them an opportunity to get together in the chat, even though they may not be involved in what we're talking about here. This is
probably not listening to us, actually, are they? They're probably just chatting.
I've watched the chat most of the time today. They haven't even been listening to us. They've been talking about something else. But I'm just saying, it's the environment. It's the environment that gets created that people gravitate to, which
there are
awesome.
And there are other little groups. Yeah, there's the Force with Tools podcast. There's the Maybe podcast. Sure, there's all these other groups. And maybe what people don't realize is it's okay to like other channels. It's okay to like other shows. It's even okay to not like other shows, but also like the people that do like those shows.
Oh yeah, it's okay to like another show more than you do this one or any other one. I mean,
that probably goes without saying. It'd
be painfully obvious. I'm sorry to say, but
because and that kind of gels back to what I said at the start. It's a way of thinking, and a couple of people in the chat have said it. It's, you know, it's that sense of belonging. It's that mindset. It's that I don't care what you're making. I don't necessarily have an interest in that, but I have an interest and an understanding of the mindset, the drive, the passion that directs you to.
It's the interest. It's the interest that we have in the individual. I mean, regardless of whatever. And I've stated it doesn't matter who and what you are. We happen to have a community that doesn't care about that and cares about a singular thing. And that's just a very, I don't know about you in Britain or in the UK or anywhere else in the world, but in America today, that is gold. To find something where people don't have those kinds of judgment. I mean, it's remarkable. And I just thought it was worth talking about today. That's all.
Definitely. More people should make stuff. Make stuff, not trouble. That should be a new slogan. That should be a t-shirt. Make stuff, not trouble. Jamie?
Yeah.
Nobody
in this community is ever going to buy that because we all like to make trouble. Anyway.
That's fine. But, you don't have to pay to have you could just, I don't know. Yeah. I think it should be a t-shirt.
Make stuff.
I can actually think of another reason why I could all be here,
Yeah.
They could all be here for
Jamie's page.
Oh, dear God. He snuck that in. Go right ahead.
Every time.
Right. So it's actually kind of a last call at the moment for the Maker Quilt that we're going on. We've been kind of going on about this for the past month or so, maybe a little over a month. But yeah, it's the last call. It's coming to an end at the end of this month because we've raised a little over £300 at the moment, which is absolutely fantastic. So Kat's and I've got a workout for her. If you don't know Kat that's Hippie Noodle, which is Richard's better half.
Much better half.
Much better half.
Well, okay, I'm not going to go overboard, but yeah.
Well, she is. She's Team Scroll Saw.
Okay, right. Let's not go overboard.
Right. So, if you're not sure what the Maker Quilt is, you can go to makersinternationalpodcast.com and go to at the top of the page where it says #Maker Quilt, and basically all the information's there. So it's basically what it is. It's a £1 ticket, and you can buy a square, which entitles you to one entry into winning the Maker Quilt. £1 per one square is one entry. £5 is 5 squares is 5 entries, etc., etc. So there's 2 buttons on the website. One says donate. If you use to click the donate button, that does not entitle you to any squares. That's basically just giving us money to give straight to the Guide Dogs UK. There's another button on there that says add to cart. So what you do is you type in the amount of tickets you would like. You click in add to cart and you follow the payment instructions via PayPal. The website will keep track of all your information. You never have to handle your tickets. We will contact you when we do the drawing, and we will do that live. We'll put out a post to let everyone know when we're doing the drawing. So we will have all your information to let you know if you have won or not.
Awesome.
That's that.
So just over £300, yeah?
Yeah, just over £300 at the moment.
So what's that? 59,900 and 700 and something quid short of a whole guide. That's probably about the last half inch of its tail, maybe, that we've paid for. That's good going.
Yeah, it's going to get good brushing.
It's a dent that wasn't there before. That's all that matters.
Totally, absolutely, totally.
It's going to have a nice shampoo.
Richard, do you want to give some love to our sponsors in the form of your shout out?
Yes, I am, because I said before we went on air that I didn't have a shout out, but as the conversation this evening has progressed, I actually do have a shout out, which is very kind of topical for what we were talking about, and that is to a gentleman that I have met once, who actually lives just up the road from Cat in Northamptonshire, and that is Mr. Jamie Reeder from the Custom Cave. Now, Jamie is on YouTube. He does do Instagram mostly, I believe. He makes things. He does a lot of 3D printing and computer stuff. He's very tech savvy. And the reason I'm shouting him out is because before we went away, as you probably know if you listen regularly or have been listening the last few weeks, when we went away, Kat and I and her two, Mini Noodle and Noodle Boy, we made our Halloween costumes. And Kat went as Bo Peep. And Bo Peep on the Toy Story 4, she's got like a big 5-petaled purple button that she has that holds her cape on. And I probably could have muddled my way through drawing one in CAD and then trying to print it and all the rest of it. And Jamie dived straight in. I was chatting to him in another little kind of sub-clicky group on one of the other platforms. And he said, I could do that in a couple of minutes. And literally in 2 minutes later, he'd sent me a STL file for this button. All I had to do was slice it, 3D print it for Kat to have on her costume. And that goes back to what Chris was saying and what we've already said about people in the community helping people in the community just because they can. And so I'll make sure I give the links so they'll all be down in the usual place. But as Chris kind of rightly said, before I change the goalpost, is I'm going to shout out our sponsors because I didn't do it at the start of the show, but I should do it every show, and this is when I'm going to do it in this show. So a massive shout out and thank you, as always, to the sponsors who, you know, in part, today's show is brought to you by Yorkshire Grit, the Wood Turners Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad at Mancrafting doing his awesome Mancrafting mugs, and Pam from Highland Boxes, who's still giving away occasionally the hybrid, but she makes awesome hybrid blanks, people. If you make pens or knives, she makes some really awesome scales and pen blanks, etc. But also our kind of silent partner, Steve Nealon from Harnell Media, who Jamie's been claiming that he does all the work for the website, but he doesn't really. It's Steve. Seriously, if you want to go find out about our sponsors, head on over to the website, makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. And Steve, Jamie, it's really Steve, puts all the information on there and makes sure it runs smoothly. So.
Well, I think Jamie would have a small part. I mean, I'll give Jamie.
Oh, no, don't.
No. Yeah. Well, Jamie, I'm just trying to, help you belong.
But we'll keep up the pretense that, Jamie does that. Because actually it's me that does the least in the podcast, and I just kind of make it seem like that's not the case.
Jamie, well, who you got? Because I know you have a pretty cool shout out this week. Who you got? Did Jamie just die on us?
I think die might be a strong word, but he definitely looks like he's frozen.
Okay, well, die is a strong word. I think maybe Dale came in and unplugged his internet. So with 4 minutes left to go, I'll give you mine. I'm just sorry Jamie isn't here to receive it, because I was going to say, Mr. Page, for the video he released today. Is he back? Hi, Jamie.
I am.
Do you have a shout out?
I do have a shout out.
Go for it.
So my shout out is going to be Robin Jacobson. My shout out is going to be Robin because obviously I'm going over to the States, and Robin is likely to be the one posting all the behind the scene antics that's going to be going on between Robin, Carl, Jake Thompson, and everybody else. So plus she deserves a hell of a lot more subscribers or followers on Instagram than what she's got. I mean, she's one of the painters of the real Optimus Prime, so from the movie. So there's one good reason to follow her.
And she has the potential to put out the Sleeping Carl calendar. And if you can't appreciate that, then I'm sorry.
We're going to try and finish them pictures off. I'm not going to be home until we've got the rest of them. I'll be telling you that.
All right. So my shout out, and Mr. Page, I'm glad you're back for it, because my shout out today is for our very own Mr. Page. For the video he released today. Now, Jamie, I've got to tell you, and I've got to be honest about this, because a part of me really wants to hug you, and a part of me never wants to ever get that close to you.
But mostly the latter.
But if you haven't seen the video that Jamie put out today, I'm talking about, then go to JP Woodwork on YouTube and look for the video titled Claire's Crafty Corners Christmas Surprise. Because Jamie, it pains me to say this, but God dang it, you are a good guy, man. I mean, that's really, really nice of you for what you did for her. So go tell Jamie that you love him and go watch that video. Because, I mean, I know you had to bleep Claire out like 5 or 20 times because she was just that shocked that you did that for her. And I just think that it's worth watching. You guys will love it. It was fantastic. So go check out Jamie's video. The Claire's Crafty Corner gets a Christmas surprise or something like that. Because my friend, I raise a glass to you. That was awesome. Really well done. Thank you.
Yeah, it was worth it just to see the reaction. So even if it did keep it up till 5 a.m. just to get rid of all the beeps out of her voice.
Well, you're a legend for doing it. So, Richard, that's all I've got, man.
Awesome. I mean, we're sort of running a little bit ahead schedule. I thought it would be dragging this out a little bit longer than it was before. But, well, I think that's probably what we've got. Are we doing we're not on Patreon after party because we don't, but the people are here anyway, so we'll do one for a little while after the show, maybe for free because we can.
Well, if you two can, but I've got to shoot off.
Well, yeah,
I'm up kind of early.
I think I may have to too as well, Richard. So I think when we end this, we should end this. So
fair enough. Well, let's do that then. So yeah.
Wait. Let's give some people a heads up because apparently we're not going to be around next week. Jamie's going to be in America. I'm going to be in Florida, and it's going to be kind of convoluted for us to do this show next week. But the following week, we will, unless Richard all of a sudden comes up with an idea that apparently I've just surprised him with because Jamie and I have previously talked about this. But go ahead, Richard.
No, because literally I actually said, well, Kat technically said, because Kat and I have been away this weekend doing favours for friends, and you said that I forgot that Jamie was going to be away, but we kind of briefly talked about it, and I said, oh, yes, we'll talk about it before we go on the show tonight, and then because I'm as organised as I'm not, I forgot, and so I did know, then I didn't know, and we could maybe do something. So I think probably the best thing to do would be, because most people will have drifted off by now and they won't be kind of expecting us to kind of plan something, is watch your feed. If something pops up in the feed, then great, business as usual. If not, then don't be alarmed because
then understand why. Yeah,
it's just free. Yeah.
If you don't see nothing until on Saturday, then I don't think you're going to see anything.
No, I think you're done. I think we're done because I'm simply not going to have the time to put it together. But, hey, if it happens, it happens. But don't expect it is all I'm saying. Just at least next week, not going to happen. The week after, we'll be back. It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. I might just come on anyway.
Well, go right ahead.
And just basically spend an hour berating you two because you can't defend yourselves. And
that's fine. And
there you go.
I hope the 2 people who watch will be impressed.
What about I could come on for an hour and I could read the telephone directory from a county in the UK of your choice? Just like start on page 1, go through it for an hour and see how far we get.
You could read the yellow pages, and that means you'll all be doing Jamie's page at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm really trying not to use profanity at this moment, but that's okay.
But even Chris has a limit. Awesome, excellent. Well, yeah, we'll come up with something. We generally managed to cobble something together.
Work it out,
at last minute. But so watch this space. Thank you for listening. If indeed you are still listening, the question, as always, is why? Until next week or the week after, who knows? You all take care and have a great next period of time.
Have a great week, everybody.
Take it easy, everybody.